In this video, we're going to take you through the basic configuration of your Bluestream Video over IP system. It is assumed at this point that the ACM210 controller has the correct firmware loaded onto the controller for the system you are configuring. We do cover how to update the firmware on the ACM controller in a separate video. Connect directly to the control port of the ACM210 from your PC. Navigate to the ACM210's default IP address of 192.168.0.225. Sign in using the default password of the ACM. This will be either 1234 or at capital B lowercase ls 1234, depending on the firmware level the unit was shipped on. You will be prompted to change the default password on the first login. Re-enter your new password. The Setup wizard will guide you through the configuration of your new system. Click the Next button. The first page of the wizard will confirm that you have pre-configured the network switch with the relevant settings for your video over IP system. You can find a list of setup guides on the Bluestream website for a variety of network switch brands. If this has already been done in advance, click the Next button to progress. Depending on the size of the system you're installing, the controller needs to know whether you are using more than 75 transmitters and receivers combined in the system. This has an effect on the processing of each individual unit's feedback to the controller during use. This can be adjusted later if the system grows inside past the 75 unit threshold. Click the relevant blue button. For this demonstration, we will be configuring a system with less than 75 products. The project setup page confirms two different ways in which you can configure your system. These are noted within the text advisory on the page. You have three options for how the system is going to manage and handle HDCP. There is a small information icon next to the HDCP mode for further explanation of each of the settings. Select the relevant HDCP mode for the system you are going to be using. These settings can be adjusted later for individual TX and RX units as required. Once you have selected the HDCP mode, click the Start Scan button. The ACM210 will then poll for any transmitter and receiver units on the network. As it discovers them, it will assign them individual IDs and IP addresses as they're discovered. As the units are assigned their IDs and IP credentials, they will appear in the page below across two columns, one for the transmitters on the left and one for the receivers on the right. The products will reboot using these new settings as they are assigned. Depending on the system being installed and the number of products, this process can take a couple of minutes. Once the relevant number of TX and RX have been found, click the Stop Scan button. Click Next to move to the next stage of the configuration process. The device setup page is where we will name the individual units, set the required EDIDs for each transmitter and the scaled output for each receiver. Any products that are still greyed out are still rebooting. They will come back online shortly. By default, each transmitter will be given a 1080p video 2-channel audio EDID setting. If you have a source device connected to the transmitter already, you can click the View button to confirm the video signal that's being received by the TX. The pop-up will show you a screen grab of the source video, which will refresh every few seconds. If you're unsure which transmitter this is, click the Front Panel Power LED Flash On button to flash the power LED on the front of the unit for a visual indication of which TX this is. Clicking the Off button stops the LED flashing, and clicking the On 90 seconds button will flash the power LED for 90 seconds before going back to an on state permanently. Once you're happy you've identified the TX in question, you can close the pop-up window from the top right corner. Rename the transmitter accordingly using the freeform text field, and repeat the process for all the transmitters in the system. The EDID list is relatively comprehensive for various resolutions of both video and audio. Select the one that best suits your source device, remembering that with video over IP, the receivers contain a video scaler, so you'll want to request the best possible video resolution from the source and downscale the video at the point not capable of receiving the native output. Moving on to the receivers on the right-hand column, name the receivers accordingly for the displays or rooms they are going to be located within. With a new name, the receivers will reboot, so further settings will be greyed out during this process. The scaled output can be changed as required once the products have rebooted. Please note any of the settings changed on this page can be adjusted later when fine-tuning the system. Once you're happy with these initial settings, click Next in the bottom right hand of the page. Your basic system is now configured. From the Wizard Complete page, you can configure a video wall, set up fixed routing, back up the configuration of the settings made so far, or just finish the wizard. Once finished, you'll be taken to the drag and drop control screen. If your receivers or transmitters are still rebooting, they will appear offline, but these will soon pop up back online when they're picked up by the controller. Switching to a new source is as simple as clicking on the transmitter window and dragging it to the receiver you wish to switch. Alternatively, you can switch all receivers to the same source by dragging the source to the All Receivers window on the left.